Good morning, everybody. And when I say morning, I mean morning, like 2:25 in the morning. This is your boy D Mac. Let's talk. Um, so I remember in a past video of mine that I spoke about me working at a therapeutic boarding school for teenage boys from the age of 13 to 17. And one of the biggest things that we did was we tried to drive home the idea of conflict resolution, because one of the biggest issues that these young men were facing and dealing with in their life was the lack of being able to resolve conflicts, and it often ended in fights, and nothing was gained from those interactions. And so the biggest thing, well, one of the primary curriculum that we had was anger management and conflict resolution, so that these guys could figure out how to resolve an issue without anybody's life having to be taken, and without any just bad blood that could cause further problems down the road. So what I want to talk about right now are deaths that has happened, uh, because primarily, through the music industry and stuff like that, is how our children are heavily influenced through the rap music, through the gang culture that has been highlighted within rap music now. You have the different drill music and stuff like that that has really brought the gang life to the forefront. So our children are patterning themselves after this, and it's causing a whole lot of bloodshed in the streets. And so I just want to talk about some deaths that I feel like could have been prevented, had they had good conflict resolution skills, and distribute or demonstrated those in their in the action that led to their death. So I start off with one that was recently brought up, and that was Ki and King Von. I believe the girl name was Shakira. She was one of the top shooters in Chicago, and it was all a game war. This whole thing between her and Vaughn, they showed the back and forth that they would have on their Instagram, and it seems like if they were not in different gangs and warring against each other, they probably would have been together. They respected each other's gangsta out in the streets and stuff like that. But what really made things change for Vaughn, in my opinion, is when he was locked up and old girl killed one of his close friends, and then from there, that's when he was on that rest in piss and all that disrespectful stuff with her, and things changed. Also, people say that they were flirtatious online with each other, but we have to understand, in this culture that we live in, there's a different language that people speak. They don't speak the same language that we used to back then. They don't carry the same temperament that we used to back then. They'll say something in a joking manner, and it'll be totally serious, and they'll be on the way to go murk somebody. That's just how that goes, because they understand that the police are watching. They're not, I mean, they still shouldn't be saying a lot of stuff that they do online, but they do have a code in certain languages that they speak to each other. So um it may have seemed like they were flirting and stuff like that back and forth with each other, but maybe that was just a gang language. Who knows? That's just speculation. But I feel like this both of their deaths could have been prevented, both of them. First and foremost, um, King Von, he's known for his shooting. When I first saw King Von, he was on the Breakfast Club with Lil Durk, and they were talking about him just beating an attempted murder case, and him taking music seriously because those streets wasn't where it's at. And yet he still had to remain in those streets because his reputation depended on it, and his reputation is what got his following as an artist. So it kind of went hand in hand, and he had no other choice but to perpetuate that lifestyle that he was actually living out in those streets. So he had to bring the streets with him, and when you bring the streets with you, you also bring the consequences of the streets. And we all know what that is. walking every day. Well, I ain't gonna say walking, I'm riding or whatever, however you travel, but having to look over your shoulder all the time because you don't know where the ops are. Or, I can't go to this side of town right here because that's my ops territory. That type of lifestyle is nothing to glorify. And it ain't cute at all. I I don't know how I would feel if I couldn't go to a certain part of my city. There's nowhere in Killeen I can't go, and I just can't imagine that. Just because that's not a good life to live. That's not a life that I would want to live. I'd say that. But getting back to what I'm saying, this is a gang war. Ki and King Von, that could have been prevented. It's far, far along before they even met each other. It could have been prevented because Ki was only like 14 or 15 when she started getting her rep. Same thing with Vaughn. So where was the influence in their life that could have steered them in a totally different direction than what they were going? Because apparently there was nobody there that were feeding their spirit, that was feeding their spirit man to build them up in the spirit. So they had to go with the flesh because that's the only thing that their environment responded to. So I feel like if they were caught at an earlier age, or even as they were then, by somebody who was willing to take that time to really get them to understand conflict resolution and the benefits of it, they would still be here, and it would be a whole different story. Next people I want to talk about is Nipsey Hussle and Eric Holder. That whole thing right there was over. It was a gang thing, but it really came down to they got into the argument about Eric Holder being a snitch. Now, this whole snitch thing, it really, really kills me because you snitch on yourselves constantly. You snitch on yourselves when you're on social media. You snitch on yourselves when you're on those cell phones. You snitch on yourself when you're out in public flashing everything that you got on. Nobody needs to snitch on you. You're a self snitch. Most of these dudes are self snitching on themselves just by the way that they live their lifestyle. And that reminds me of Frank Lucas. Frank Lucas always played it low key. He wasn't that dude rocking all the flamboyant stuff. And then he finally broke down one night and wore this fur coat and all of that stuff to the boxing match. And then they were like, who is this dude sitting up front wearing all of this? That was his downfall right there. And a lot of these guys out here do the same exact thing to themselves on a regular basis. And if you know anything about the Alphabet Boys, they got all the time in the world to sit back and just give you rope to hang yourself with. And then we'll go amongst each other and we'll argue back and forth with each other while they're playing us against each other so that they can fuel the fire and they can have us to do their job for them. And we'll go out here and do an Eric Holder and murder one of our brothers because of some words, because of an accusation. He said that's his reputation. His reputation stood on that. You can't be out here. Really, bro? If you're really not a snitch, then you don't have no need to prove anything. The truth always prove itself. And if the people in the city is just gonna go off what somebody say, then I don't know what to tell you. I can't kill nobody over no accusation, man. Okay, you can call me what you want to, but if it ain't true, you have the burden of proof now, homie. You ain't gonna just spit nothing out your mouth about me and not have proof. And I don't mean somebody else who don't like me to come and back up what you say, because that ain't proof. I need some receipts, as they say. So when it comes down to Nipsey and Eric Holder, man, that whole thing could have been prevented with simple conversation. Look, bro. I don't even know what's going on. This is what I heard. This is what was said in the streets, bro. But you know, I got something going on big here. I'm not trying to to fall out with a brother, man. If anything, I want to build with you, black man. And I remember that Killer Mike. Shout out, salute to Killer Mike, man. That dude tried. He made an attempt. He made the Cripple Cola and the Blood Cola, and he tried to get Bloods and Crips to come together to use their image and make a brand out of it like the Hells Angels do, because now they're in the actual corporate market being marketed, and they're a legitimate, authentic gang. And so Killer Mike used that same concept with the Crips and the Bloods and tried to make the cola. There's so much pushback on that, which I understand. I understand some of the points. They're saying somebody come out the store and they got a Blood Cola and a Crip see them, and the older established members of the Bloods and Crips, they understand conflict resolution, but it's the younger ones who don't listen. Because I'm gonna say this: the real true Bloods and Crips originated out of Cali. And so a lot of these other Bloods and Crips all across the nation don't even know the history of the Bloods and the Crips, and they're not really Bloods or Crips because they don't follow no creed, they don't follow any bylaws, and they don't have any supervision or any authority over them. The OGs can't tell them nothing. They're not real Crips and Bloods. They might wear that tag of Crip or Blood, but they don't understand what it means. They don't understand what none of it's about. All they know is this something that I can be a part of, and I get some respect by having this or being this. And so they out here doing things that the real Bloods and the real Crips wouldn't even be a part of. But they throw Crip and Blood on it like it's okay. Same as like religious people do with we ain't even gonna go there though. So I'm gonna go to my next one. My next one was Young Jeezy and Gucci Mane. Yeah, that right there was just, man, that hurt my heart, bro. That hurt my heart for the simple fact that these two brothers made a dope song together. Super dope song. Song was so dope that that's what they fell out about. But my thing is this, man. Why argue over a song? Just put the song on Gucci album, do a remix, and let Jeezy put the remix on his album. Come on, this ain't nothing unheard of, and this ain't nothing unknown. It won't take away from Jeezy sales. It won't take away from Gucci sales, and everything is everything. Those two men could have sat down and hashed that out without it leading to now y'all got this whole toxic energy towards each other. Now y'all got this beef going with each other, and the media ain't gonna do nothing but feed it. And then Jeezy gonna go and, oh, 10 racks for whoever get his chain. That's where that whole chain snatching crap, well, I ain't gonna say that's where it came from, but they perpetuated that mess and ended up getting one of his homies killed, unfortunately, man. And yo, that situation was pretty tough. See, a lot of people didn't really know the details into why they was really beefing with each other until they really looked into it, saw that. And the man lost his life, and rest in peace to that dude. Um, but these men was able to come together. That's the thing. This, out of all the cases that I'm talking about, this right here is where conflict resolution was demonstrated, because these dudes came together and they did a versus battle, and they talked about all those things. Jeezy, not Jeezy, but Gucci, he even did the song, you know what I'm saying, and was disrespectful with it. But it could have went one or two ways. Jeezy could have got up, lost it, went over there, and it would have been a big brawl, because they both had their peoples with them, and who knows how it would have ended up. But because Jeezy, I don't know if it was because of his brand and who he's grown into now, but he chose otherwise, and he chose to talk to the brother, and he chose to be bigger than that small situation that they was trying to get past. And at the end, the brothers came together and they performed Icy together, and that was a great look for all of these young dudes out here. That was something that needed to be done for a long time. And I applaud them on their attempt to demonstrate to these young men conflict resolution between two men who have death in the situation. And this is where a lot of these ongoing beefs and ongoing deaths is because of somebody killed somebody, and I gotta get somebody of yours if I can't get you, and if I get one of y'all, and we go, and it's just a vicious cycle back and forth. But somebody has to say, okay, look, I'm done. We have to be able to know the stopping point, because if there's no point of return, then a lot of these kids, a whole lot more, are going to face the same. And I bet you by the time this video gets 100 likes, there'll probably be about maybe that many more murders, if not more. That's the sad part. And I'm going to keep up with that statistic just to see if I'm right. Just something for myself. Y'all can keep up with it too if you want to. The next time I say something about it, we'll make comparisons. But the next one I want to go into, Biggie and Tupac. Yeah, everybody is worn this one out. And I'm going to beat this dead horse in a sense. So the whole beef between Biggie and Tupac was generated by the media. It's generated by their labels, and it was generated by people, their followers. I did a video earlier about being cult leaders and how people will follow you blindly and not even know you personally or your character or anything like that. They just like the image that you put forth. So with them, it was a whole media generated beef that led to both of their deaths. And it really could have been prevented because these dudes was homies, they was bros. And whenever Pac got shot going up to the studio that night, and the stories they vary, and say Big went down to see what was going on, and Pac was, and it just went south from there because people was always in their ear. You have to understand, you got Puffy and all them over here in Biggie's ear. You got Suge Knight in Pac's ear, and we know how toxic Suge was. And so all of this stuff broke two friends up. And man, if those brothers would have still been alive, if they would have just sat down and said, "Look, bro, did you say this?" "Nah, bro, I didn't say that, man. I love you. Why would I say something like that?" "Did you say this?" "Yeah, I said that, man, but that's only because I thought you said that, man. But I didn't really mean that, bro." For sure, man. Well, we can't let this stuff come. If they would have had that conversation right there, and they would still be alive to this day, would you imagine the landscape of the music industry right now with both of them juggernauts still here? Man, that would be the versus battle right there to see. Biggie and Tupac. Imagine that versus. So I feel like that definitely could have been prevented real, real simple. But the media and the label saw how lucrative it was, and they decided that the money to be made was far more important than the actual two people. And you see to this day, they're still generating money off of that beef that they created. And that's a sad thing, man, because it could have went a different way. And the last one I'm going to end with, because I did a video and I was talking about something else, and I brought these young men up and I got the names totally backwards. So I want to apologize, give a shout out and salute and RIP to Indian Yellow Boy. He was a friend of Baby Capone, and Yellow Boy is the one who got killed on live. And it was, like I said then, man, it was triggering to me because I've seen that look and I've seen that face, and just been in that situation is something I don't want to relive. So to see that again, man, and it triggered me and brought me back to a place, man, and I just had to say something about it and get it correct. And my thing about this one, going back to the whole Nipsey Eric Holder situation, it's the same thing because okay, Crip kills blood. Now, blood kills a Crip. And you turn around, fast forward, you have the younger generation, and right now the thing that they have going in their fad is disrespecting the dead. So these guys going along with the current trend, they go and disrespect the dead. And unfortunately, Indian Yellow Boy lost his life because of that. This right here could have been resolved by, well, really, first and foremost, if the Eric Holder and Nipsey thing never happened and that would have been resolved, then this would have never took place. Let me go ahead and put those two together. But to go back to this one, the way this could have been resolved is this whole disrespecting the dead thing. I don't know why people are picking up on it. It really started it came out of Chicago. That was the Chicago thing, part of that whole drill scene, disrespecting the ops, we smoking on Tuka and all of those terms. And now that's been adopted by all of these other states. You got drill moving to New York, you got drill moving to Atlanta, and you see the increase in violence in these cities and murder in these cities because of that energy that's coming with that drill music, that murder energy and that disrespect the dead energy that comes with that drill music. And I don't care what nobody say, it is what it is because it's the spirit behind the music that moves people. And the person is just a vessel to bring it forth. I know music more than just the surface level. And so I'll just say that. But with these guys, I don't care who set who up or none of that stuff. If you would have never did the act that you did, nobody would have had that vendetta to want to take your life like that. You provoked that to take place by your disrespect and your choices. And so Baby Capone had to sit and watch his friend die because of the choice that they made to disrespect another man who's lost his life to this gang violence out here in the streets. And it's all a nuisance. And now that they've been placed on the terrorist list, the police and ICE, even ICE can go after them. So you look at what's going on now. They'll be able to deploy those ICE forces into the neighborhoods because they're terrorists. So we have to watch and see what's being set up for these young men and how a whole lot more of their lives are going to be taken by the police and by ICE agents. And it's all going to be legal because of their actions that led up to them being placed on that list. And the murders will continue. The police brutality will continue. And they'll justify it by saying we're fighting terrorism. And I'm telling you, a lot of these murders that are taking place and some that'll happen here in the near future can be prevented by simple conflict resolution. Somebody saying this has to stop. We can't continue on like this because we're not hurting anybody but ourselves. I hope that someone gets that idea in their head, and I hope they push it hard to these young men, and I hope they have the credentials and the respect by these young men that they'll listen. I don't know who that'll be and what it'll take. If they'll listen to me, well, that's why I'm on here. That's why I'm doing this. Because if one or two will listen to me and take it back to their friends and influence them, cool. That's lives that are saved, man. You don't know how many that's connected to those people. So that's what I'm here to do, man. I'm here to be one of these OG voices talking to these young cats, letting them know that this ain't where it's at. Self destruction, man. Well, I thank y'all for tuning in. That's all I got. This is your boy D Mac. I love each and every one of you. Please hit that like and subscribe button and share this. Share this. Please share this message. This is your boy D Mac. Sticks and stones can break your bones. The word can always heal you.